And we are live. Um, Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this year's final ANC 1B Public Safety Committee meeting. We don't have a super packed agenda tonight, so I'm looking forward to just chatting with folks about this year, sort of the pending projects we have, as well as welcoming some new committee members and then discussing our goals for next year. So, without further ado, I'm going to appoint our two new committee members. Maria, I see you're in the audience. I'm going to promote you to panelist, so you may need to rejoin. There we go. All right. I am appointing Julius Duhan and Maria Langholz. Apologies if I mispronounced your name, to be committee members on ANC 1B's Public Safety and Community Engagement Committee. Um, would love for you guys to just introduce yourself, tell us how long you've been in DC. I know we just spoke, Maria, so you'll have to repeat the spiel. And yeah, maybe tell us, what is the public safety issue you're most interested in working on next year, and where are you going to be for the holidays? So let's see, name, how long you've been in DC, public safety issue you're interested in, and where you're going to be for the holidays.
Yep. Hey everyone. My name is Maria. Um, I am going to be in Minnesota and Wisconsin for the holidays. We are driving there with our dog because she cannot fly and also cannot be by herself. Um, and I've been in DC for just under 10 years. Live very close to Malcolm X Park and love being here in the neighborhood. Um, I was just ranting about how much I am frustrated currently with people's carelessness with stoplights is a thing that concerns me as a walker, biker, runner, that like people seemingly just do not care that stoplights exist, including turning left against no left turn arrows directly into bikes. So that's the thing I care about, but also obviously very aware of the federal takeover of DC and what that means for folks in the district. And I've done actually some organizing of runners to help do like recording of what's happening with police and ICE and make sure that people who are being targeted by ICE um, have due process and are supported as they deal with ICE. So those are some of the things I'm thinking about, but lots of other stuff obviously going on. And I haven't like thought about like what is the thing that I would want to focus on next year. Things both change quickly, and obviously there are some aspects that or some issues that are easier to take on than others. So that's a little bit about me.
Great. Julius, you want to go?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Julius. I'm very excited to be here as the newest, or second newest member, maybe, of the Public Safety Committee. I've been in DC for about a year and a half now. I'm originally from Philadelphia, which is where I'll be for the holidays as well. Um, Quite similar to Maria, I think the public safety issue that I'm most interested in at the moment is reckless driving. Specifically, I know one of the issues DC is facing is there are drivers who have racked up kind of an extensive history of careless driving, reckless driving tickets in general, and they are still on the road and not really being they're not it's maybe not being addressed or it's harder to address. And again, as a cyclist and pedestrian, that's fairly concerning. And it's something that I would, like to learn more about what are some of the obstacles that have made it harder to, uh, get those people to pay their tickets, get them, off the road, whatever it is, and addressing that. I think
Great. And where will you be for the holidays?
I'll be back in Philadelphia. I'll be in New York a little bit as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Great. Well, welcome both of you to the committee. I can do the roll call real quick now. Nakapan, committee member Nakapan, are you here?
Present.
Present. Great. And committee member Leah Trevette, are you here?
Present.
All right. And committee member Claire
Here.
and committee member Duhan
Present.
and committee member Langholz.
I'm here.
All right, great. Well, it looks like we unfortunately don't have MPD on right now. Generally, they join our meetings, but every once in a while they get kind of busy or they miss an email. So that's unfortunate. We'll see if anybody joins. But in the meantime, were there any crime incidents that people heard about, noticed in like the past month that they wanted to raise? If not, it's all right. But I'm just curious if there was any like specific incidents that people heard about or saw. No news is good news. Thankfully, I think we have been seeing crime decline over the past few months, especially as we get into like the winter season. Um, in the last month we saw zero homicides in ANC 1B, which was also great news. And the police were able to arrest one suspect in the homicide that was at the 2000 block of 14th Street. So that was also some good news that we got in the last month. Um, well, without further ado, we might as well jump into our resolutions that we've been working on. I'm curious, Nakapon, I'm gonna have you go first. How is it going with the Department of Parks and Recreation with your partnership application? Have you heard back from them at all?
Crickets. I have heard nothing. I've submitted everything. But if you got some people that I can talk directly to, I'd be happy to do that. I imagine some of the uh, shutdown and
Mm.
inefficiencies of DC have probably pushed the application off somewhere. But happy to resubmit, happy to talk to whoever we can. Just for those of you that I guess weren't familiar with it, we were trying to engage the local youth into some type of what we would offer martial arts training for them. We just way off. The way we pitched it was a pilot program. We do it for free. We'd send a couple of instructors there, just kind of see like who's interested and what kind of people we get that go there and just to kind of see, how we more like a eventually morph into some dangerous minds type of thing. Maybe I'm dating myself. That's an old movie that took a whole bunch of degenerate kids and then turned them into like, upstanding citizens. That one could only hope, that's kind of the idea. But we just want to start somewhere. We're not trying to do more than we can do. It's also dependent upon, of course, our staff members. It's always difficult to find people that want to work with kids. So when we do find somebody, that we want to hold on to them as best we can, because kids can be challenging. But yeah, so that's really where we're at with it. We submitted our partner application. We said it was like a kind of a, pro bono. Let's see what happens. And we haven't really heard back from anybody yet. But I guess it's not uncommon for DC agencies.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not uncommon. I'm thinking what could be useful is, I don't have any specific text written out, but perhaps we could all, someone could make a motion to support the full advisory neighborhood commission, um, writing a letter to the Department of Parks and Recreation asking them to respond to your application and work with you. Um, I think, that's kind of what the ANC is for, is to say, we know that a community member is trying to do something important. And in this case, you're trying to engage local youth and provide them some martial arts programming. And so I think it would be great for the ANC to just dash off like a quick letter saying that we want DPR to actually respond to you and that we're disappointed that it's taken so long.
Yeah, I have a person, Brianna Hall, partnership analyst.
Okay.
So I got an email back from her September 23rd that
All
just said,
right.
thanks for the application. We're pleased to let you know that your application has been received and is moving forward in the review process. I don't know how long the review process is, but I guess we're 6 weeks so far into it.
Okay. Interesting. Well, have you tried sending a follow-up email yet?
I'll let me go ahead and I will I'm trying to see if I've had one follow-up. I'll follow up again. We'll see what's going on, and then I'll report back and
Okay.
ask if anything has moved. And if not, we'll then we can ask the ANC to kind of move forward with a letter.
Yeah. Do you want to make a motion just, asking ANC 1B to write a letter in support of your application, your partnership
Sure.
application
Do,
with
do I am I
DPR?
the one who raises the motion?
I think you should be.
Okay. All right. So how do I do this? I solemnly swear to raise an emotion or something. Raise a motion?
No, just say I make a motion and then
I make a motion to request that the ANC write a letter of support and inquiry to DPR to move our application for the proposal for a free martial arts class with DPR forward, or at least to get some information about this.
Sorry, maybe I'll second, but also maybe this is a silly question, but like doesn't Miguel like know parks people? Couldn't he
yeah.
try
I
bugging
mean,
him them? Like why maybe ask him like, hey man, can you like text them, call them? That's my one.
so Meridian Hill is the National Park Service. We're trying to get the DC Department of Parks and Recreation to help us, but Miguel definitely does know DPR people, and I think it is, I will see what I can do in terms of emailing folks before we like pass a
Yeah.
resolution and send it to them.
Yeah, but
I think it
otherwise,
just to get the committee's support or just to like think about what would like the language look like. It might be helpful to just have the committee vote. That way, if it does go to the ANC, we can say we talked about it. This was what, committee members were thinking, and, maybe we want to say, you know, pending outreach to DPR, we would like ANC 1B to send a letter in support of the application. Great. Well, it sounds like we have a second.
yeah, but yes, also second.
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. Does anybody have any thoughts, like debate, discussion? All right. Great. Well, then, all right. I'm going to phrase it this way, if that's all right. Um, all those in support of ANC 1B writing a letter in support of Beta Academy
Mhm.
application, partnership application. I'm going to write with the Department of Parks and Recreation, pending further outreach um, to staff. All right, I'm going to read that out again because I know that was kind of I was writing it as I was saying it. All those in favor of ANC 1B writing a letter in support of Beta Academy's partnership application with the Department of Parks and Recreation, pending further ANC outreach to staff to receive a reply, please raise your hands.
Let me raise my hand.
All right, great. All those opposed? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Fantastic. Okay. Well, I will see what I can do in terms of like trying to reach out to them. But if we don't hear anything back for whatever reason and like we're not able to get a response very fast, then we can just like write a letter in support. Doesn't have to be super critical, but just saying that, we really want them to consider this application and work with you on it.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, other resolutions. I had been working on a resolution that I mentioned at previous meetings regarding traffic management on U Street. Um, I do not have any updates, unfortunately, because while most agencies are pretty good about getting back to you and like chatting with you about issues. Unfortunately, the traffic control officer, who is the head of managing Ninth and U, like that intersection, um, has directed me to DDOT's community engagement folks, and they are not great about responding. So I'm going to follow up with our MOCR, which is our mayor's Office of Community Relations person, and hopefully I can speak to someone about that. We do have some time because, just some brief context. The goal of the resolution was basically to add staff and try to provide more crossing guards on U Street and like in the area for those like key nightlife hours, especially during big holidays like Pride, like July 4th. Um, because it just like traffic can get kind of crazy. And there's definitely been moments where it's like it seems like nobody has a handle on this right now. Um, so yeah, that was the goal of the resolution was to try to just like call attention to this and get more resources out there. I'm curious, does anybody have any thoughts about, what questions we want to ask the traffic control officers or, what they've noticed in terms of the traffic situation on U Street late at night? Any thoughts?
I guess I would be curious about overtime if it's like an increased cost to the city because these people would be
Mhm.
working nights.
Yeah, we got some good information at a previous meeting from the police who were saying that like the traffic control officers have had a really difficult time recruiting, especially because nobody wants to work at like midnight on a Saturday.
And it's cold.
Now it's cold. Well,
And with
yeah,
like people who are very drunk and yeah,
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 you're right.
not
It's
the best
also,
vibes.
yeah.
I'm from New Orleans and like the Bourbon Street cops are like not having a
Oh,
great time.
I forgot that you're from New Orleans.
Yeah.
So many New Orleans connections on the committee. Julius and I are actually going to go to Mardi Gras next year, so we get,
Ooh, congrats.
yeah.
Let me know if you need recommendations.
I appreciate it. My family actually lives in New Orleans, so I've been many times, but I still need more recommendations
Oh,
because
well, okay, no,
so
of
many
course I
places to
should have
go.
known. I was just there. I saw a puppet show. I'll offline with you about it.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah. So yeah, curious about overtime. Like, well, yeah, what is the like pay package for them? And I guess, yeah, I'm curious whether they like surge staffing during holidays. Um, because definitely seems like there's like a greater need during those hours. Okay. Well, does anybody else want to say anything about traffic control on U Street? Seeing no one. Um, the last resolution or sort of topic that we'd been discussing was youth engagement, especially with respect to the juvenile curfew, which the DC Council recently voted to extend pretty far into the new year. I should check the exact date, but I believe it's at least until April. And just, broader youth engagement. I think a lot of folks are I don't want to characterize what everyone's thinking, but from what I can tell, a lot of folks they think the youth curfew is an important tool right now, because it can help, prevent the really like mass gatherings of kids we've seen by the U Street Memorial Metro. Um, that can be dangerous for the youth and for like other people. But at the same time, I think people want to not just have the youth curfew. They want to explore like what's going on, why, and how are so many youth like gathering in one place in Navy Yard or on U Street, as well as what are other ways that we can engage with youth through our rec centers or like other avenues. So it sort of feels like a lot of people think that the curfew is not enough. That should be like the beginning of the discussion, not the end. I'm curious what folks think because I do think this is going to continue to be like a big issue next year that it might be worth weighing in on. Knock upon, you're giving me a look like you're thinking about something.
I always think that we got to do what we got to do, but unfortunately,
Hmm.
the in the eyes of the youth, they see it as an adversarial move, against them. It only just emboldens them to resist harder, right? I mean, or to rebel harder against the government. Uh, but it's unfortunate that's one of the reasons why I'm on the panel is because we have seen a lot of crime, particularly committed by youth.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. I remember.
Yeah, like last year, they basically had three 15-year-olds go into a coffee shop and beat somebody up and then take his jacket and then jumped into another car, was probably driven by somebody who was over the age of 18 and could get arrested. And, but they basically are running in
Hmm.
these like small time organized crime, for lack of a better word, gangs. And that's what happens. And it's unfortunate, and that's why we have to really try to engage them the best we can to let them know that, we're not against you. We're trying to work with you. So we're trying to see, as I said, I've been reaching out to some of the other boxing. You see, the government used to offer grants to, the Midtown Boxing Gym, which is right by there. I don't think you've seen on
Mm-hmm.
14th Street, right? But since
Yeah.
Mr. Hughes had passed away a couple of years ago, they've moved their operations over to Georgia Avenue. So, but these are proven things that have worked really well in the past, trying to engage the youth and really pull them into the community as to just kind of, pushing them away with things like this. But I
Hmm.
understand why it's there. So
Yeah.
we'll do what we can with that. But of course, the other reason, I guess you were asking
Hmm.
people why people joined the panel, but obviously on Florida Avenue, there's a lot of theft that happens. There are a lot of break-ins from the
Hmm.
cars, and those are generally committed by the youth, the younger, like 14, 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds that walk around there. So, just these are just general thoughts about it.
I
So
mean,
I don't know what the answer is, but hopefully with this motion with the DPR, we can try to do something, at least get an idea of, who's interested in what's happening around in the community when it comes to the youth.
think jumping off of that point, I'm not sure if folks here tuned into the public safety hearing that happened on Thursday. It's on the YouTube channel. I would highly recommend watching it. The last half was youth testifying. And I think, I mean, we know that youth curfews don't work. We have the research that backs it up. They're band-aids. They don't actually do anything to solve the problem long term. They don't do anything to help kids. And at the youth testimony section of the hearing, they also specifically talked about the ways that they have personally been criminalized by it. Um, so what I'm wondering is like beyond the hopeful potential partnership that Nakapan is going to have with DPR, I'm wondering like, are we connected with other schools? Like I'm connected with Cleveland, but they're an elementary school, which is like less helpful, I feel like for this. But I also know
Yeah.
like, there are orgs like Black Swan Academy that offer after school programs for middle school and high schoolers, and like have a lot of like youth leadership programs as well. So like I'm wondering if that's something that either like we connect with orgs that do those kinds of things and or we connect with schools as well, like the places that are already where our kids are at and already know our kids and what they need and what they're missing.
Just in terms of organizations too, we did from the last meeting have oh, her name escapes me now. Reverend. She's a reverend. She was on the.
Oh,
She was
Reverend
on.
Judy.
There you go. We have connected with her, the violence interrupters. So they actually came by the school.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah,
Wow.
last
That's great.
about maybe like 3 weeks ago. I haven't really heard back from them, but I will follow up. A gentleman named Brandon and another lady came by, and they were asking us, what we do or how we see the projects working. And so, they're connected to bigger organization. So hopefully we may see something be born out of that. But they're more about dealing with people who have already been in the
Mm.
system, have some connection with gun violence, and they're trying to reduce it. So we are making some connections on that side too. So
That's great to hear. Yeah, definitely follow up with them because yeah, I think they do generally work with older folks, not as many kids, but I'd imagine
right.
there's some juveniles they work with and um yeah, I mean like I'm sure they have a lot of like a very interesting perspective on how to prevent violence and how to help people, choose a different path.
Not to
Uh,
derail us from Lee's comments there. I was just thinking about like other organizations and how we're getting connected. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
so wait, that was at Beta Academy or that was
Yeah,
at
they came by to this. Yep, they
okay.
came by. So we showed them around. They asked a bunch of questions. Unfortunately, we didn't have any classes happening at the time. It was like 2 in the afternoon. So it was a small group that we kind of toured through and gave them an idea of what we were thinking in terms of how we would engage people. And so they said they were interested, and then they'll get back to us and see how we can connect and work together. Uh,
Hmm.
so I'll let you know if it bears fruit and where it goes from there.
For sure. I think I saw Claire's hand and then Julius.
Yeah, I just want to circle back. We had talked about several months ago, we talked about safe passage, and
Yes.
making
Yeah.
sure that program is fully funded. And Leah saying connecting with the schools brought me back to that. So can I check in on that? What's going on?
They never come back to
Honestly,
me.
I have
What?
not.
Sorry, they never got back to
Oh,
me.
you're sorry. You're talking to Leah. My
Yeah,
bad. My
sorry. No,
bad.
I answered because Francois, you had
Yes.
connected me with the government liaison,
Yeah.
and I had emailed her a bunch, and she never got back to me.
Yeah. That was really annoying. Um, yeah, we really tried to bug her, but yeah. Um, Safe Passage. I will try to find out because I know that that is a program that the deputy mayor for public safety and justice, Lindsay Appiah, that is a program that she cares a lot about. So I think they did all right in the recent like budget, but I honestly need to check on that. So I will make a note to try to find out what is happening with Safe Passage.
Okay.
And is it being expanded? Did they get all the funding they need?
Is it
Um,
costing more and fund and doing less? Like, yeah.
sure, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um, Julius.
So this is a question that may, like, as a new member may have been answered before, or maybe there isn't a good answer, but Leah's comment about the schools kind of prompted this. Are most of the youth we're seeing on U Street and such, like, do we know if they're from Ward 1? Are they coming from like different wards? Are they coming from Maryland or Virginia? Um, I'm only asking because I feel like that, I mean, it would be important in like actually, addressing like the problems of where kids are. If most of them are not from like schools that we're involved with, or, don't have access to programs that we're starting. So again, just kind of like the fact that the U Street Metro stop is such a like gathering point kind of suggests that maybe there's a lot of kids coming from other parts of the city or other parts of the DMV. So is that something that like anyone has any idea about, or has there been, is there any data on that?
Mhm.
Didn't Reverend Judy say these kids, a bunch of them are from Maryland?
Yeah, I have not seen any like concrete data, but my understanding is that there are kids coming from out of DC. There are also kids within DC. Um, and it seems like a mix, but I do think there is a large contingent of kids that like are coming from pretty far away.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's heard anything else. Yeah, but I do think it's like one of the things that I have been, yeah, frustrated by a little bit is that it doesn't seem like there's been like a very comprehensive study of, who are these kids, where are they coming from, which schools do they go to? Like, no one's like, it doesn't seem like the city's really trying to track, like talk with the parents after they drop them. Because basically what happens with just like a brief aside, because we actually like had a really interesting conversation with an MPD officer at the last meeting about the youth curfew. But basically, and I see we actually have a hand up in the. I see your hand, Gene. I will call on you in just a moment. Yeah, basically, when the police give youth like warnings before the curfew hour is reached, which is 11 p.m. citywide or 8 p.m. when there's a juvenile curfew zone, which is for like a limited amount of time on a weekend generally. And um, if someone like if there's like a kid who's still out there past curfew and they like are refusing to go home, basically the police will take them into custody. They don't arrest them or charge them with anything, and they drive them home. If they don't have anywhere to go home to, or they like won't say, then they drive them to a Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services center, which is run by DC. I think if they live outside of DC, they also end up going to a DYRS facility, because I don't think MPD like drives them super far out. So yeah, but it sounds like they just generally when they bring the kids home, they just sort of like drop them off, make sure they get in the house, and then go. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of like touch points on, talking with the parents, being like, or like tracking like, is this kid been out? Like, are they getting um pulled aside like multiple like every weekend for a curfew violation or something? I do want to give Jean a chance to talk because I see that she had her hand up. Jean, um, would you mind introducing yourself for our new committee members?
Yeah, hi everyone. Gene Humza, and I work for IMP, which is 930 Club, Lincoln Theater, Atlantis, Anthem, and I am their community liaison. So I lurk in these meetings, most meetings, because you'd think I don't have a life. But anyway, so lots of things about youth. I testified, I guess, about a month ago when Brooke Pinto had a round table or something about it. It was a very long day.
I
And
remember.
one of the things that, like where do we expect them to go? Um,
Hmm.
like suburbia is starting to have a problem with kids because the malls are closing, the malls aren't letting them in, and there's a couple of generations of that's where they hung out. Uh, I'm been in this city a very, very long time. This has always been a problem. Just think about why we have Marion Barry's legacy of paying for summer jobs. And, it just that goes back to the early 80s. And I don't it hasn't solved the problem, obviously. But so one of the main things that we were discussing during the hearing I was at
Hmm.
was why isn't Banneker open? Now been open occasionally for something called late night hypes,
Yes. Yeah, we discussed that at a previous meeting a little bit.
and that's not consistent, whatever. But one of the problems we have, whether you're talking about U Street or whatever, is we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources. Well, at some point we have to figure out where we're really wasting resources on the youth and
Hmm.
put the proper resources into whether it's Department of Parks or, public schools or whatever it is, so that they have options, so that the basketball court is open, so that, I don't know if we have nighttime pool parties on the weekends at Banneker or what, but there's a total lack of imagination
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
complete lack of willingness to say we are going to have to cut back on these resources in order to provide these resources, and you just can't keep taxing and taxing and taxing. So we have a huge opportunity coming up, but none of us really know what it means. We're going to have a new mayor. We're going to have at least two, maybe three at-large seats. We're going to have a
Hmm.
new Ward 1 council member. Zachary Parker's running again, and so on and so, like things are going to change pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
But this, everybody that's there right now is going to be writing the budget for 26, 27. So we have to literally make the people that are there now listen to us about what our priorities are.
Hmm.
About the youth, we can obviously, Sister Judy or, Reverend Judy or, these people are trying to resolve the core of the problem. But that's another conversation. It's,
Sure.
different resources. So I'm just saying,
Hmm.
we have to talk to our council member. We have to talk to the at-large council members about where we want our resources to go, because that's the bottom line. Either we're going to open things up at night for these kids to go to, or we're going to just continually deal with kids who have nowhere to go.
I can.
And
Yeah.
that's all for
What
now.
No, I mean I think that's really interesting. Does anybody want to react?
my question is, what do the youngins want to do these days? Like truly, like what do they want of it? Like during the curfew uh hearing or whatever it was, like did they say like this is what we would want to do? This is what we like do during the day that isn't open at night? Like what is I hate when things come up for me waving my hands. But like is there a sense of like what the ideal would be based on what currently exists, what would be low lift, but like very rewarding and likely to be taken up by the kiddos? It's just a question I have literally no idea what the answer is.
Oh,
Anyone, feel
I
free
can
to
just
jump
answer.
in.
Yeah, sorry, I raised my hand and I was like, I can just unmute. I mean, so I can send the YouTube link for the hearing in the chat if folks want to watch it. A lot of the youth honestly talked about exactly what Jean just said, like the summer jobs program back and sort of like fully funded and played like literally just spaces for them to be at night
Yeah,
that are closed. And also, I mean, in general, to not have their quote unquote excuses for being out past 8 p.m. having to be decided on that, whether or not that's legitimate by a cop, because they shouldn't be having interactions with cops, especially not for a cop to decide whether or not they're coming home from a school sporting event is legitimate or not.
totally.
Um, Claire, did you have something to say?
Yeah, what are the current hours of our basketball courts? Do you know? Like in,
Yeah, I know that Banneker like does not open late. So like no one should really be at Banneker late. I think past like I don't know the exact hour, but we spoke with Chris Dyer from DPR
yeah.
earlier this year and he was saying how they closed the fence, I'm pretty sure, around sundown. I think Harrison Rec Center, there was discussion about trying to keep the basketball courts open later. I do like that idea. And it might be something to follow up with. So yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
good point.
well, I was just thinking of New Orleans. I used to like, come home from the gym at like, 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and I would drive past a pickup basketball game happening every night in mid-city.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, those people are super well adjusted. It's service industry people like, like getting off work. But like sundown right now is freaking midday. It sucks. Um,
Yeah.
So I like,
Yeah.
is there any use in us, like, making a motion in support of expanding the hours in ANC 1B for basketball courts? Just because, like, people like playing pickup basketball, and I want it to be well lit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Open
think
for
it's
tennis, so like,
mhm. I think it's really worth something like it's worth doing some research and trying to look into some of these ideas because I think like Gene's pointing out, like, you know, if we want an alternative to the curfew, which I think is, as Leah's mentioning, has its problems, it's not great. We don't want to like criminalize young people hanging out. We want to reduce interactions between young people and police. At the same time, we have these like really large gatherings that are, you know, causing real problems for businesses. We have youth who are getting hurt. We have people who are getting hurt. And we have like, a bunch of businesses serving alcohol that are all within like 100 feet of the metro. So it's like now is our chance, I guess, to like voice the alternative to what the future should look like once the curfew no longer is in place.
I just
Um,
have one question. Like
yeah.
with the parks, do they individually like who decides what time the individual parks are open till? And like is it like universal across the parks managed by DPR?
That is a very good question. I honestly don't know the answer.
Because like when you're talking about basketball courts, like I know like this is like during the summertime or like early fall when it was like getting dark later. Like I remember leaving a soccer game at Audi Field and like there were like walking to the metro, there were like tons of people out at it was starting to get dark, but it was like 8 or 9. And there were people like grilling out, playing basketball, playing at the playground, and like there were like over 100 people just like hanging out.
Hmm.
And like those seem like very good vibes to try to replicate. And I'm just curious, like, are there other areas that have later hours and like have seen that work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Has anybody heard about anything?
I mean, like I walk past the courts in Admo, and I'm like, oh, tennis is open super late, right? Like
Yeah.
tennis is open crazy late. I don't know if basketball is, but I walk past tennis. So, I don't know how we can just be like, hey, open the damn basketball courts.
No, I mean, well, we heard from, and I've been connected with um, the folks who run Harrison Recreation Center, which is at like 12th and V. So maybe we can try to speak with them about their basketball courts and what's going on there. Like I said, Banneker right now is focused on adult classes indoors. They don't open like any of their outdoor spaces later at night. As far as I could tell from Chris Dyer, they do not see their role as engaging youth in the evening or really trying to like help solve this problem at all. Um, which is unfortunate, I think, because I think their role goes beyond just providing like scheduled swim classes. Um, so I mean, and like they do a ton. It's fair, and like I'm sure they have a lot of demands, but I do think, yeah, it would be interesting to see like, is this something worth pushing on that they should have like a broader mandate as DPR? Gene, what were you going to say?
Well, do we want it to be DPR, or would we prefer
Hmm.
it was another agency?
Which,
Maybe
yeah,
we are trying to push, a round peg into a square hole.
that's
Maybe it
fair.
isn't
That's fair.
DPR. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm throwing that out there because what you said made me think that.
I mean, I mean, I think it's a really good point. Like, I don't want to, DPR has their lane, and maybe they're really good at their lane, and we don't want to try to, maybe it's like a different type of agency or staff that we need.
Well, this is also a
Yeah,
mayor thing. This is
yeah, this is
the
a mayor thing.
mayor
Sure.
absolutely drives
Hmm.
everything. And
Yes. Yeah.
um, I don't want to beat up on Muriel. She's, dealing with what anybody dealing with the feds right now, I would be having coronaries because the responsibility is so immense. All of us are her responsibility. So I would bail. But not to comment on that, but it's about this is not a priority right now. Yes, the youth are, but where's the money? I don't know. And it's really something we have to talk to our council members about, and they have to make it a priority too, because they hold the money and oversee
Hmm.
these agencies. But the mayor is the person whose drive and energy has to envision it. And
Yeah.
we know that there's people going to be running for mayor, and guys, send them emails, get in their ears, write a resolution, of course, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Individuals are can be heard.
Yeah. I do like just to because I want to spend the last like 10 or so minutes of the meeting talking about like our other goals for next year. It sounds like we're already talking about some of the topics that we'll be continuing to discuss and work on. But just like a kind of like a final note for people to think about. Um, I feel like this is a difficult issue because, on the one hand, we want to offer youth programming and we want to provide them other places to be in the evening rather than like right out on U Street. On the other hand, we have this sort of um, I don't know if it's a moral hazard problem, but I think MPD makes a fair point that if we provide more late night events for youth, then more youth may come to U Street, and that could worsen the problem where if we have kids coming late at night, we're like trying to bring kids in to the city late at night, then they're leaving later at night, then we have more kids out on the street late at night who would be in violation of curfew if there is a curfew in place, if they're leaving some of these events later. So I don't want us to like have a whole discussion about like what is the answer to that question, but I do think it's like it is a complexity that has to be navigated in terms of um, if we're providing more things for youth to do at night, are we bringing more kids to U Street who will end up, drinking on the street, or are we like providing an actual alternative that will steer them away from doing that? I don't know
Are
the
you
answer to
talking
that.
about them coming to Banneker
I'm
instead
talking
of coming to
about
U
like
Street,
I'm
or
talking about like if we like if more kids are coming to U Street, like I think MPD from their perspective thinks that less kids should be coming into DC on Friday and Saturday nights.
right.
And if we are trying to offer programming for youth at in the 8 to midnight hours, that can bring more kids to U Street at night, which could cause further issues. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that I think that that is like a
Well,
possibility that
I
like
mean,
needs to be considered.
sorry. You
Yeah,
did nominate me to be on this committee, so now you have to hear my
please.
opinions about things. But like, okay, I just don't think it's and again, I know you said we don't have to debate this right now, but like
I mean, I want to hear
the
what you guys
idea
think.
that like to me there are probably a core set of teenagers who like do live here and want better things to do and
Yep.
like more
Yeah.
structured things to do and like giving them things that are convenient, fun, like indoors and not cold, like have like basic amenities seems like good. And like then either the kids who are coming in from
Mhm.
farther away could participate in that or not. But like I don't know the draw of like I mean if the thing is that cool, then like figure out how to
Mhm.
deal with them afterwards. But like I don't know. I just think that that's a very uh frankly lazy reaction from the police.
Yeah.
I'd like to add in here. I don't envision it more people coming to U Street. I
No.
envision,
Mhm.
DC public schools are open, and if we have to make the charters do it too, as they get the same funding, them too. That the kids would go basically to their own school or the school in their neighborhood or whatever. They should
Yeah.
not be from PG County and Virginia and Maryland. They should not. This is a battle we have all the time about those communities using our tax resources that are so minimal. So it should only be for our kids. And then if it's other people's kids coming into DC, what's up with that? You know, I cannot advocate for our neighboring
Mhm.
communities. I can only advocate for DC. And
Yeah.
our DC schools and I don't see why more kids would be coming to U Street because the kids that are in the Banneker area would go to Banneker or they go to wherever their high school is, or I mean,
Mhm.
I don't have a perfect plan, but if we're gonna open our rec centers or we're gonna open our schools at night for them to do stuff, they could have DJ offs or
Mhm.
whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
No, I mean, yeah,
I
I think
don't
that's
envision this being us taking
Mhm.
care of Maryland and Virginia's kids because we already take care of Maryland and Virginia enough. Sorry, I'm really adamant about that.
No, that's fair. All right, well, I'm going to move on, but I do think that's like yeah, I'm just going to say that I think it's really important for us to think about that as we figure out like what we're advocating for, because I think it's going to come up, and I think it'll be good to have like a response or an answer or why we think that it's still, important to provide, you know, DC's kids with, these opportunities. Okay. So, yeah, next year really just open discussion, but what are folks thinking about? What do they want to work on in addition to the topics we've already discussed?
I think after this, I just want to make sure the Safe Passage program is fully funded and functional.
Hmm.
I'll call that a win. I love the crossing guard I pass on the way to work in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's a great guy. I love him. I love the one like by Giant. Anyway, so Safe Passage program done.
Yeah, I saw a crossing guard just today next to Garrison who was like doing like a fantastic job and was like actually directing traffic too, which was really cool. Um,
They're friendly. They're such cuties. I think just generally, yeah, we should have presence.
Gene, you got to join the committee as a member.
Oh, that could be a problem. Then y'all will get mad at me more than you already do.
I'll ask you
So,
to do more things.
oh, stop. No homework. Uh, I would like to see us try to focus on the insanity on the weekends during the
Hmm.
warm weather and what we can do about that. And um, Francois knows that I've been working with the business community. They have an idea around the parking situation late night weekends. So wait until next year and bring that to the table.
Sounds good. Yeah, I do think figuring out what next summer looks like and the parking situation will be something that we discuss in the committee and talk about. So that'll be really interesting.
Just to
Any other?
sorry, just to
No,
expand
go
on
ahead.
my original comment about um, cars not caring about stoplights. So I do really think that it is my little pet project to figure out something regarding like the fact that people can just like turn against red lights, go through red lights, and have literally zero consequences. And like it is on pedestrians and bikers and anyone who's not driving to just like be aware that someone might hit them with like a massive truck is terrifying and like not the place that I want to live in, or not the place, not the state that I want to live in. And I'm particularly again concerned about like the 15th Street bike lane that goes in both directions is literally right in front of our house, and people are flying up and down that all the time and like expect to be able to go with it when the light is green. And the fact that like that's not the case, even when you have the right of way, is something that I want to think about how to make better because I want people to feel safe not being in vehicles.
I will say we have a Parks and Transportation Committee that I think would be worth like trying to draft something, and you can like go before that committee and bring it to them for that specific intersection. But I definitely think the broader issue of like traffic enforcement is like a huge
Yeah,
public
yeah, no,
safety
it's just
issue.
like my niche thing because it's like a half a block away.
No, no,
But
no.
like,
I was just saying
but
like
then like walking
yeah,
around, I'm like, oh, also at this intersection, like people just blow through
yeah,
US
yeah,
14th because like the car in front of them like probably made it through, but like they're
yeah.
definitely not through, and they're just like
Yeah, yeah.
blowing through a red light every day.
No,
Um,
it's definitely a worthwhile issue, I think. Like it is a serious public safety issue. I was just saying like
and
if
like
you were
yeah.
focused on like a specific intersection and like a light timing or something, like the ANC has definitely like recently we just passed a resolution about uh,
Sorry.
an intersection.
To be clear, it's not a light timing thing. It's that people just do not
People just
care
don't
about the
okay,
red
yeah.
turn and like they'll immediately turn against it. It's not a
Yeah,
timing
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It is no
Mhm.
one cares.
Yep. Yep. Well,
Because they don't get fines, and then there's like, whatever, I can do this and I'll save 10 seconds in my day.
yeah, I do think we could, yeah, stand to do some more work on traffic enforcement for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that is the
Traffic
large point that
enforcement,
I
moving
care.
violations, parking is always parking enforcement is important as well. Um, any other ideas for next year? I see Reverend Judy is in the audience and has raised her hand to speak.
Hello, everyone. I was doing a little double duty. Sorry about that.
All
So,
good.
yeah, I got on late. Yes, just, I'm just happy to let you guys know we did submit our grant application to the ones for another year of supporting Ward 1, and hopefully we will prevail. There seems to be quite a few others tossing their hat in the ring for our ward, but we shall see. We have a good track record, and we've done some good work in Ward 1, and we will hopefully continue to be able to do that.
So was this just to fully that first of all, just thanks for joining.
Absolutely, sure.
Really appreciate it. And I'm hopeful that ANC 1B's letter in support of the application will be helpful.
Yeah.
Um, I was curious. So there are multiple different groups you're saying that are trying to be the Ward 1 leads. Is that the right
Um,
terminology to use?
yeah, or they are vying for the Ward 1 VI contract,
I see.
if
So
you
there's a
will.
single contract that will go out.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a single contract because for all of the wards, there are 6 wards that are vying
Mhm.
for the competitive process of being awarded a one's VI grant. So, and of course, we were able to continue under our existing grant through 25 from FY 25 through the end of this year, and then they decided once the merger took place with the Cure
Mhm.
um, uh, initiative under the OAG's office that they would just put everybody's ward back out on the street, if you will, for a
Mhm.
competitive process. Um,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have done it that way, but
Mhm.
because it did invite other people, to the table that aren't even really that familiar with our communities. One of the things that they did require in the grant is that they be from the particular ward or live in the ward. They have to demonstrate to the ones that they have connections and relationship. That's the one thing that I think
Yeah.
we all could agree with, that, you just can't come into a community like a Ward 1 or Ward 4 and be totally cold, um, and think that, the residents and the community is going to warm up to you, because it's all about building that relationship foundation. And it really sticks when people are, from that community, because each community is uniquely its own and very, very, very different and diverse. And Ward 1 is a very diverse ward, with a lot of complexities. But I think, and praying, that we will prevail, because, like I said, we've had, some great wins, and largely thanks to the support of the commission, and some of the things that we were able to do, and bring forth to not only the public safety and justice cluster, but to the actual one's office in general. Some of the things that they weren't even, aware of, in terms of how the overlap between 1 and 4, and why it should kind of be under the same provider. But we'll see, if they share that sentiment. They seem to understand it, at least in discussion. But
Mm.
we'll see what it looks like now that we've all had an opportunity to present our best case on paper.
Well, I appreciate the update. Definitely keep us posted on how things go.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and let us know if there's anything we can do.
Okay, I certainly will. I think we'll know early January, what the outcome will be.
Okay, that's pretty soon.
Yes. Yeah, so
Coming
I'm
up.
looking, yeah, it's coming up really soon. So we're just gonna go out with a big holiday bang, celebrating in CHV. We're gonna do some community events in LaDroit, community events CHV in Parkview, just to kind of, and stamp our seal again, once again, with a little holiday flavor. And then try to keep up the good work of keeping our stats down, keeping our eyes open, and, looking into those things that we need to look into, that keeps the calm.
For sure. Great. Well, I think since we're running up against time here, it's 8 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
I really appreciate you joining, Reverend Judy, and everyone for joining tonight. I just want to say my New Year's resolution for next year is to make sure these meetings actually run 1 hour. So I'm going to do my best to keep us on track for that because I know folks have busy lives. And I feel like shorter meetings can be democratic meetings. So yeah, unless anybody has anything else, any community announcements or anything, speak now, forever hold your peace. Then I will see everybody in the new year. I'm really hopeful. I would like to, at some point at the beginning of the year, do some kind of like in-person meetup or even just like office hours at a business in the area, like at a coffee shop. So it's definitely something I'm hoping to do in like January. So I will send out an email about that hopefully soon. And yeah, everybody enjoy, your holidays, enjoy spending time with family, stay safe, and I will see you all soon. Thanks so much for being great committee members and really engaging. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye.